Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Tommy. I'm a human nutrition student and researcher at the university, and this is the Cooking Methods mini-series. So in this video we're going to talk about air cooking or cooking with air. Is it possible? Of course it is. So let's view it. Okay, so air cooking. The definition says that it is cooking by subjecting the surface of the food to a hot air environment. Okay, knowing that, we can differentiate between the direct fire or the indirect fire. Direct fire, we have the griddle or the grill, whereas in the indirect fire we have the oven or the grating. In the oven section we can differentiate the spit roasting, the empapillote or the bain-marie. So you have to know that prior to air cooking there are some previous operations, especially with meat. And we talk about this here. These two types of previous operations are meant to do with meat. We have the mechado, which is to put bacon strips with a needle in depth, following the fibrous length of the meat. And then we also have the tying the meat, which is tying the meat to not lose its form during the cooking method. So the consequences of air cooking are the protein's coagulation, of course, mainly on the surface of what we are cooking, the superficial crust, and again what I said, the water loss, because if we expose the food to high heat, high hot air, then chances are the water inside will get to water vapor and escapes the food. And then this is not really a consequence, but a tip to put a little bit of fat during this cooking method to promote the crust formation and also to avoid the stickness of it to the equipment. So now we view what are the effects on the food of cooking it with air. Starting with meat, we find the coagulation of the proteins at 65 degrees Celsius and the hardening at 75 degrees. So you can guess that the best temperature for cooking meat is actually between these two. And yes, indeed 70 degrees Celsius is the optimal temperature for cooking meat, talking about culinary aspects, not safety or biological or nutrient related stuff. Then we have collagen. Collagen creates gelatin when the temperature is over 56 degrees Celsius. Then we have the intramuscular fat, and this is very important because it will give us a lot of taste and juiciness. Again, here we're not talking about nutritional aspects. Then we say that meat is better cooked with a direct method of cooking, which is the griddle or the grill rather than the oven or the grating, because these methods are way more effective transferring the heat to the meat, and they create the crust even faster. So this permits to the juices to be retained in the inside and indeed create a more juicy meat. These methods are not meant to soften the meat at all, and we find the caramelization and also the Maillard reaction occurring in meat when it's cooked. So you have to know that young animals are better cooked when in the oven there are more than 180 degrees Celsius, and for hard meat it is better to leave it at lower temperature, 150 degrees, for a longer period of time. Then talking about fish, is best with oily fishes, because if not they are going to stick a lot to the equipment that we're going to use, and they are also very fragile, so we're going to really destroy all the fibers that they have. The objective with fishes is avoid drying out, and we use some oil or fat to protect the lean fish to be destroyed by this cooking method. And then vegetables, it is best with the ones that are high in water, for the same thing here, to avoid drying out, and they also suffer the caramelization, which will give a little bit more taste to it. Then talking about the farinacceous, we have the bread. Bread has gluten, and gluten, what it does is to trap the CO2 in the interior of the dough. Bread is done by kneading, then 2 hours rest for the fermentations to occur. Then we put it in the oven, 220 to 260 degrees Celsius. In that time, there is a caramelization and the Maillard reaction occurring. Remember, the Maillard reaction is the combination between an amino acid and a sugar at high heat, whereas the caramelization is only sugar. And the temperature inside the dough, the internal temperature, will be less than 100 degrees Celsius. So what happens in the bread? The starch will be split into amylose and amylopectin. They will create a network because the amylopectin is a ramified structure and the amylose will get hydrated to condense and create eventually the network. And then the gluten, what it does is involves everything, keeping the structure intact with the CO2 in between. On the other hand, we have cakes. Cakes are made by the use of low-strength flours which have low gluten, and they need some yeast and bicarbonate. They use low-strength flours with lower quantities of gluten because they want to trap less air inside. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you understood everything I said about the air cooking, the methods of cooking with air. If you have any doubts, there is a comment section down below. Remember to like, subscribe and share this video to your friends and family. You can download this diagram for free. It's on my website, clicking the first link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Ciao!